Obviously, big weekend this past weekend in Greenville and Daddy Ficklin Stadium. Big home win for our program. Big home win for just everybody with being able to knock off a quality opponent like Central Florida, who was coming into the game, playing very, very well, and just very pleased with the game plans that the coordinators were able to put together and the way the kids were able to execute those. And I thought our players just had a great week of preparation. I thought they, just really, the last couple of days mentally getting ready to play the way we wanted to play. I thought they did an incredible job, and just, from the get-go, I love the way our team played together, very complimentary in all three phases. Just played with a lot of intensity, a lot of energy. Just, the sideline was, really energetic all night, and it carried over to the field. And obviously, several, big performances Saturday night. But to win a game like that together and to do it at home, obviously a really good weekend. So not a whole lot of time to celebrate it, though. Really, quick turnaround, short week, Friday night game on the road, very challenging environment in Provo, Utah, against an extremely talented Brigham Young team. They're coming off a couple of tough losses, but do expect them to get a couple of guys back this weekend. And I think that one of our stiffest challenges of the year, going on the road, trying to get a win this Friday night. So going to need a great week of preparation. I'm confident that our players will be focused throughout the week, very motivated, and I expect us to be prepared to play well Friday night. Questions?
Coach, the old saying is you get kind of the 24-hour rule. Is it less than that?
Yeah, not quite 24 with this one.
With the longest trip of the year on top
right.
of the short week, just the challenges of that. What does that present?
Well, I went ahead and I addressed everything with this game yesterday with the team when we met yesterday afternoon, and obviously you got to try to take the momentum from Saturday night, which that's the positive. You've won 2 games in a row. Both conference opponents at home, so you try to take that momentum with you. I think the players are very motivated to kind of keep this thing on a roll, but it is a challenge. We've got to really maximize the front end of this week, and for the players, I've stressed to them, they've got to get a good night's sleep. Hopefully they took advantage of that last night. We got them out of here a little bit earlier last night, so that they had a little bit more free time to just get themselves recovered, do a great job with just taking care of their bodies here on the front end of the week. We'll do our heavy work today and tomorrow, and really try to be fresh going into the game Friday night. So it's just a lot of stress on the coaches right now because you're losing 24 hours. So there's not going to be a whole lot of sleep here at the beginning of the week. They can catch up on the flight, but it's a challenge, but. It is what it is. That's the way the schedule is, so you go get ready to play.
Coach, can you take us behind the scenes of the Winners Dinner Sunday night and kind of how that's evolved in your time here?
Well, for us, it's the kind of the culmination of the previous week. And so, we watch the film from previous night's game, Sunday when we get in here in the afternoon. We have our workout on the field, which was pretty short yesterday, and then the winner's dinner is a meal together. So on a weekend when we don't come out on top, the players just have a training table meal. But with winner's dinner, you have the coaches, the coaches' families, our kids, the players, and it's just a real positive, energetic deal. Everybody has time to kind of talk to each other and catch up. So it's a great way to celebrate a successful week. And so it's something that, I started a couple of schools ago, and it's something that I think is important to kind of, foster that family atmosphere with everyone, and it gets a chance for the families to see the players and the players to see the families, so that's a positive.
You saw a lot of zero blitz this week with Marlon in the backfield. Have you ever had a freshman running back that can block as well as he does?
Well, I don't know if I've had one that does or doesn't do as good a job as he's done, but I do think it's impressive because most of the time you have a freshman running back in there, they're going to blitz him. They're going to force him to hold up in protection. And I think Marlon's done a really good job. He's obviously got a little bit of size to him and pretty strong, but his understanding of protections. And there were a couple of times, Saturday night where it was something that looked one way pre-snap and turned into something else post-snap. He did a good job of adjusting, but I think that's been very impressive and a big key to why he's getting to play so much.
Was this performance by Holton just sort of a perfect example of his experience just kind of shining through, understanding both the offense and just what the defense is trying to do?
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was as good as he's been. Decision-making, pre-snap and post-snap execution was really good. I just felt like he was, as far as mistakes, they were minimal. And so I just think it was a very, very solid performance. But I think he's been playing, really well the past couple of weeks. And, the challenge now is building on that and continuing to play at that high level because he's playing at a pretty high level right now.
I guess just sort of going off that, when the other quarterbacks on the roster have the headset on, they're listening in, is this a really good developmental tool, just kind of watching what's going on in the field in that scenario?
That's what you hope, and that's what we talk to them about each week. And obviously they're one play away from being in there, and so they've got to be prepared to play each week. But they're heavily involved in the game planning, and they're heavily involved in all the meetings and stuff, just like Holton. They're involved on the sideline signaling, with some of our GAs, and so they're a big part of everything, even though they're not in the ball game.
BYU was a preseason top 25 team. I know they've had some injuries, but do you see that level of talent when you cut on the film?
Well, they're an impressive club. No doubt the quarterback, obviously highly talented and having a very solid year. A couple of his receivers have been in and out of the lineup. 12 was back the last couple of weeks, and it's obvious that that's a guy that's he feels very comfortable with and is a big-time playmaker. But just, seeing their skill on offense, big physical offensive line, the two tackles are probably NFL prospects. Defensively, big physical front. 92 is, he's a 206'5", 270-pound defensive lineman that they play standing up a lot, in some of their packages, kind of the way we do Jeremy. And, just looking at them in total, just, they look like what you expect from a BYU team when you think about BYU over the years. And so, I know they've dropped a couple of games, but, they've got guys coming back that have been injured, and I expect them to be ready to play very, very well Friday night.
Going into UCF, a lot was made of their corners being very tall. That really didn't play out on the field because CJ and Zay had successful nights. What was their response to that, kind of maybe in the game and after the game, once they saw, okay, we can hang with these guys?
Well, I think that, all of our skilled kids on offense took it as a challenge that, they were going to see man coverage and they were going to see guys that are, really high-end players and had the size and length, and I think they responded to it. And I think that's a credit to, how hard they've worked and how well they execute with Holton, that, both those guys had really solid nights.
Going off that with CJ, to kind of take us back to the offseason when y'all decided to move him into the slot, what went into that decision, and how much did losing Sneed kind of play a role in that at that time too?
Well, I think that's everything working together is kind of the deal. I think that number one, you obviously had a void there where Tyler had been such a huge part of our offense the last several years, and that position. You can do a lot of stuff with that position. All of a sudden, you move CJ inside. He's different from Tyler, but he's going to create a different kind of matchup problem for a lot of guys. And so I think it was a combination of having Isaiah, having Jalen, having Josiah, having some guys out wide that could play on the outside, and at the same time, having a need inside. Now I think that moving into the slot, and we have moved CJ around a lot this year. He's played outside, he's played inside, but it changes up how they can play him. And so I think one, it was something that has really benefited our offense. But two, I think it just shows, CJ he's a smart football player. He understands concepts, he understands schemes, and he's made himself very, 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 very versatile.
You touched on just how efficient the offense was, but the defense was as efficient. And takeaways this week that really led to points. You got to be thrilled seeing the way that they've really come on.
Yeah, and that's you were probably facing your biggest challenge of the year last Saturday night. It's a very talented offense that was playing at an elite level. They putting 70 on what I think is an improved Temple team the previous week out. So I think they were challenged. I think that our kids were excited about that challenge. And UCF made some plays Saturday night, but I thought just our kids play in and play out. They competed at a very, very high level. They played together. But they just executed our scheme and executed with intensity and just focus all throughout the night. And I thought that was the real key. I mean, it's one thing to game plan and you have these ideas and this is what you want to do and getting them to understand it. But it's another to go out there and execute the game plan at the high level that they did and to do it with the energy and intensity that they did it. Which that's the reason you force those turnovers, and that was the story in the ball game. Four forced turnovers, and then our offense did a great job taking care of the ball. Now, again, the challenge is you're facing a different kind of team this Friday night, a different kind of offense, but still a very potent offense. And so it's having that short memory, using the performance last Saturday night as confidence and motivation. But understanding that we got to get ready to play again this Friday night, and it's going to be another big challenge.
2 back-to-back home wins, 2 very different Mike Houston post-game press conferences. Why were you so calm and collected Saturday night after a bigger win maybe against UCF?
Well, I mean, I think you look at just where the wins were and just what you're coming off of and. Just everything revolving around it. It's it is what it is in our profession. When you win, it's sunshine and rainbows. To a degree, and it's when you're struggling or you have a bad performance like we did down at Tulane, there ain't a whole lot of sunshine and rainbows. So it's we were very determined going into the Memphis game and got a big win against a very good opponent. And I think we followed that up with a great week of preparation, and to this date this season, our best performance of the year Saturday night, and winning a tough conference game against a quality opponent and doing so by 3 scores. So I just think two completely different situations, but you couldn't be more pleased with the last 2 weeks. And again, that's the challenge because. You got to have a short memory. I mean, this is going to be our toughest road test of the year Friday night. Our players know that. Our coaches know that. They're very focused on that. I expect us to have a great week of preparation, and I expect us to go out there and be ready to play at a very high level Friday night.
Coach, how much, if at all, does altitude play into this week?
We've talked to a lot of different people, a lot of different coaches, and basically the consensus is it's only an issue if you make it an issue. So they said really there's no noticeable effect on the players. So.
I was going to ask a similar question, but the crowd noise too.
Yeah.
A full stadium. This will be the biggest crowd y'all played in. How do y'all go
Right.
simulating and preparing for that?
Well, I think the biggest positive is Coach Kirkpatrick has played out there and he has played in a night game out there when it's really rowdy. I think that just over the years we've done a pretty good job with just simulating that with it's the reason we do play the music at practice and we play at a pretty high decibel level during those team periods is that it forces the kids to communicate without verbal communication. It forces them to use hand signals. It forces us to do things on, a silent count kind of deal. And so that's going to be our big focus this week, is really, dialed into that and doing a great job with that. It'll be a challenge Friday night, but, it's one I think our kids will be ready for.
Any other questions?
All right, thanks a lot. Go Pirates.